Hey everybody, this is Jason Johnson from Fuzzlord Effects, and you're listening to the Fuzz Life Podcast Show. In this episode, we're sitting down to chat with Kerry Lambert from the Zero Fret about the really awesome guitar pedals he's been making, and also getting to pick his brain a little bit about his really interesting aluminum guitar collection. So before we get started, I'd really appreciate if you'd subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating, or share it with a friend that you think would be into it. Let's get started. Kerry, thanks for taking the time to be on the podcast today.
Oh, thanks for having me on, man. It's quite a surreal experience because I've usually got you in my headphones at work, but this time you're actually talking back to me.
And I'm glad we're sitting down to make the time to talk. So for the folks that don't know who you are or what you do or that are new to the Zero Fret, could you just give us a little bit of info about who you are, what you do, and what's going on with you right now with your pedals and guitars?
Sure. Well, as you said, my name's Kerry Lambert. The Zero Fret was something that started a couple of years ago, just as an idea. It started as a vintage musical instrument blog, and it's just kind of evolved over the last couple of years into basically just an umbrella name for all my sort of creative endeavors, really, which at the moment is leaning towards effects pedals.
And I've been noticing on Instagram lately, of course, people can check out your Instagram page at the Zero Fret, that you've been making some really cool takes on, like, it seems like it's kind of based off of or a tribute to the Life pedal.
That's the one. Yeah. I mean, when that pedal came out and obviously I found out what it was, and I was like, well, I've been making rat clones and I've been making green ringers. Why don't I try sticking them in a box and seeing how it goes, you know? And I listed a few of them for sale, and I just can't believe how many have sold. I'm having trouble keeping up with all the orders. But yeah, it's kind of based on the Life pedal.
What kind of made you dive headfirst into, like, I'm sure you got some special tweaks on the pedal or some things that are different, but these are totally handmade pedals in a really cool, smaller enclosure, and it looks like you were hand etching all of these boards.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I got into, I haven't been doing it that long. I got into building pedal kits sort of this time, would have been last year. So I've only been doing it a year. So yeah, all the boards are hand etched at the moment. I've just had someone, actually I should give him a quick shout out because he's been a total sweetheart. Stuart from FX has designed me a PCB for these Serpent pedals. So the next run will all be done on PCB, which will save me a bit of time.
Nice.
And stuff. Hopefully it'll make it more efficient and make them better pedals.
And I know people are going to be excited about that because, I mean, you had quite the demand last month. It seemed like you got, I think it was like 30 orders on the...
yeah, it went a bit crazy.
And you weren't expecting that, correct?
No. My God, no. I mean, I just thought, I'll stick a few of these up online and just see if maybe a few friends and family buy them. But the orders just kept coming in and I couldn't turn them down. So I've ended up inundated with all these orders, and I'm just about to finish off batch 3 right now.
Very cool.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to finish that today.
So, and this is the Serpent Fuzz, correct?
That's the one, yeah.
So can you, for folks that aren't familiar with the Life pedal and this big craze that's been going on for the last, was it about 2 months or so when this came out, can you give us a breakdown about what this pedal is and what it does and maybe the bands that are associated with it?
So the Life pedal was the collaboration with Earthquaker Devices and Sun, the band Sun. And yeah, my pedal is based on or inspired by that because it's basically, it consists of 3 parts, which is the octave up fuzz at the start. Then you've got a rat type circuit and then a boost at the end. And I just thought, well, I make the green ringers, I make the rats. Let's just put them in a smaller package with the knobs on the top of the box as a nod of the hat to the Life pedal. And I've always done that anyway. I like the old school fuzzes that have the knobs on the top.
Yeah.
You know, it keeps it away from your feet, so you're not kicking the knobs, and I actually just put 2 little feet on the underneath of the fuzz at the top, so it sort of angles up.
Oh, very
a little bit, so you can reach the knobs. So it is literally that. My one is it's an octave up fuzz with a rat style circuit in a box with a clipping diode switch. It's that simple. And the octave up side of it is literally on or off. There's no other controls for it. So that's one of the differences between that and the live pedal. The live pedal's a little bit more complex in that it's got the JFET blend.
Okay, cool.
On the octave, so you can blend the octave in.
So I believe you're like doing some acid etching on the boxes and stuff, and then on some of your other pedals doing some like nameplates. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how you're making these boxes, because it seems like you're doing everything by hand right now, which is really awesome to see. Yeah,
everything's done by hand at the moment. I mean, the only problem that I've had building pedals over the past year is really the artwork and not being able to get a professional looking labels or artwork on the boxes. So instead of making the pedals look really nice, I just thought, why don't I just fuck them up and make them look horrible? And that seems to be what's worked. And the TZF Rat, the clones that I was making, the little faceplate on that and the acid dipping actually came about by accident, because I was making a pedal for a friend, and I was hand stamping the letters onto the box, but I hit it too hard and broke the box, went through it, and I thought, oh god, this is ruined now, I've got to start again. And then I thought, well, hang on, I can work with this. So I built this faceplate to actually cover the crack in the box, and it just looked awesome. So that's how I came upon that. It was a happy accident, really. It was me being an oaf with a hammer, smashing the box.
I like the look of them.
But yeah, thanks, man. Well, that idea came from Electrical Guitar Company, because they do that with their guitars.
Okay.
They do an acid dipping option.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which I'm sure you've seen them. They look so awesome, and I just thought, well, I'll give that a try. Just see what happens.
It's always amazing to me how, like, I mean, I've made a bunch of mistakes on stuff too, and it's like more often than not, these like accidents turn into like something awesome.
Well, yeah, that's the idea. Yeah. Just I don't know. I've never been very good at making things look super neat and tidy, so I just thought you've got to work with what you've got. You know, I'm not very good at that, so let's go the other way. Let's take it the other way. Let's mess this up.
Well, I know myself and a whole bunch of other people are really into the look, and I keep seeing all of your pedals pop up all over the world, so I bet that's got to be a really cool feeling for you. Yeah,
that's true. I sold 10 to the States alone last month, which is just, as I said to you previously, I just was not expecting that at all. So, yeah, it's quite surreal. I mean, I've been working non-stop on them, so it hasn't been much time to sort of sit back and take it all in, really. Because I work full-time as a dental technician, and then I come home in the evening, and I work on these till the small hours. I haven't got it, set up like a professional setup like you guys. I'm doing this in my kitchen, and trying not to wake up my daughter while I'm doing it.
So with that in mind, I know there's a lot of people listening right now that are like in bands, or maybe they want to get started building pedals, or maybe they're building pedals and they're just like a little stagnant or something. And you mentioning that you work full time and have a family.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance all that? Because, I mean, there's only so many hours in the day, and I definitely have noticed how much, like, good content and post and, like, pedals and videos you're putting out. Like, you have a YouTube channel also. And a lot of people feel like there's not enough time in the day. So from someone like you that is extremely busy and busting out all these pedals, what's the secret, man?
Well, the secret is raging unmedicated ADHD, I'm afraid. That's what it is. It's I was diagnosed with ADHD in my adult life a few years ago. And
all right.
It's one of what they describe as a superpower, ADHD.
Yes.
You get this hyper focusing thing. where, I mean, like I said, I only started this a year ago, but I've hyper focused on it, and it's kind of consumes my mind, and it's all I can think about. You know, I've been read books on electronics. I'm constantly watching videos, tutorials on the forums, just learning, sucking all the information out of it until there's no joy left in it. Yeah, that's what it is, really. It's I put it down to you know, at least a bit of that, but the videos thing, I that kind of went to the wayside a little bit when I first started Zero Threat. As I said, that's what it was. It was videos and it was a blog. Mm-hmm. But when my wife got pregnant, it just kind of it fell by the wayside because there really just wasn't time for it. But now my baby's a little bit older. She's a year old now. Yeah, I've just been able to step it up a little bit. Yeah, it's hard work. I'm not going to lie. It's exhausting.
I believe it.
Friday after work, I literally felt like my brain was just melting, and I had to have the night off making them because I just thought this is going to kill me. It's going to drive me insane, you know. But I love it so much. That's the thing. It's all I think about.
I've been following that. You've been a couple of years ago. You had the blog, and you're doing these videos about guitars and stuff. So I can tell that you obviously have a big love for music. So I think sometimes when you like have that big of a passion, that's kind of what keeps you up. Like you go work all day, you come home, do whatever personal stuff and like obligations you have, and then I'm guessing from like 7 at night till midnight or 1 in the morning is when you're working.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, and then all day weekends as well, which is you know, we try and go out with the family in the morning, and then I'm back on it as soon as we get back.
Well, I gotta say, it's really I appreciate seeing folks like yourself work because, like, I mean, I work a lot myself, and I'm on the same sort of like kind of wavelength where I'm pretty hyperactive and like overly focused, and I feel like it's a curse and a superpower all at the same time.
It is, yeah. It's a blessing and a curse, yeah.
So
there's no question, because I mean, it can interfere with kind of life, you know.
Definitely.
Your other side of life, your family life, and things like that. But yeah, it'll all be worth it in the long run.
I'll tell you what, though, for me, it's been really comforting, like meeting other people that are equally as driven. Because I don't know if you've had this like previously in your life, where it's like you were so hyper focused and so driven that you almost felt like you were some weird oddity or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, without a doubt.
But then you start meeting,
like you're not meant for the real world, you know.
Yeah, you can't just be normal, or like you have too much energy or something.
No, exactly. I was having the same conversation with Stuart from Tate Effects.
Oh,
recently.
Cool.
He was saying the same thing. Like, it's just, he doesn't feel like a normal person, you know. He's just so crazy about this. Like, you've got to love it, though.
You do, and it's so nice to, like, with the way social media is working now, where all these people are getting to talk to each other, it's just, like, so nice to find other people out there that, like, push you and make you feel like what you're doing, like you're spending your time in your life doing stuff that really matters to you.
Mate, totally. Yeah. And it's awesome. Yeah, it's thank God we live in this day and age where you can meet other people like you online and you can nerd out together.
I'm thankful for it. And speaking of the first exposure, I know you're getting really popular right now with the Zero Fret and then your page and all your pedals and stuff, but my first exposure to you was probably, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. You were putting out these videos about your PVT60 guitar.
That's it, yeah.
So I get asked a lot, well, here's the backstory for folks listening. You were posting these videos about this PVT60 guitar that you had that you got an electrical guitar company aluminum neck for, and there's just like zero info out there about these things.
Yeah.
So after seeing your video probably 20 times, watching it over and over, I finally tracked one down for myself. You've got quite the collection now of very unique aluminum guitars, and I was just kind of, what's the deal with all that, man?
Well, and here's the thing. I wish I'd I'd been able to keep every single aluminium guitar I've ever owned, but I've had to sell some to fund others, and I got interested in that through obviously Steve Albini and Bob Weston from Shellac. They use the Travis Beans, you know, and I remember hearing when I was younger, I don't know if you're familiar with Shellac, but the first track on 1,000 Hertz, it's a prayer to God, and the guitar tone on that, I was just like, what the fuck is this? It just sounds insane, right? And then I remember nerding out about them a few years later and learning on Wikipedia that they use these guitars with aluminium necks, and I was fascinated. I'd never heard of them, you know.
Right. So
this is the other thing about living in this day and age, where this you know, there's these groups of these people online. There's a Aluminium Axes page on Facebook, which is really good. It's just full of aluminium guitar nerds. Joining that Facebook page kind of got me hooked. But here in the UK, they're super, super rare. I mean, they really are. They're hard to get hold of. Even the Kramer ones, which seem a little bit more common than the Travis Beans, they're still so hard to get hold of. And I think when anything's hard to get hold of like that, it makes people want it more.
Definitely.
And, you know, so I just got suckered into it. The first one I got was that Kramer bass, the XKB 20. That was the first video I made, actually. And that was the start of that. Because when I got it, like you, searching for information, there was just nothing out there. I couldn't find anything. So I remember asking about it in this Facebook page and trying to do all the research I could on it. Couldn't really find much, but what I did find, I thought, I'm going to make a video. I'm going to stick this online and just put all the information in one place. So I made it, having never done anything like that before, stuck it up, and then came back to it a few months later and realised it had a couple of thousand views and some comments and stuff. And I thought, wow, this is really cool, because this is actually genuinely helpful to people. So I just decided that anything I bought, any vintage gear that there wasn't much information on, I was just going to nerd out about, and then write a blog post and do a little demo video, and just chuck it up there. But like I said, I did quite a few of them, but then the baby came along and it all kind of got put by the wayside. But then intermittently over the years, I've had people say to me, "Oh, you're the Zero Fret guy," and it's quite surreal, because I was searching for aluminium neck guitars on Gumtree a few months back, and I found this pink Stratocaster that had this really weird looking aluminium neck, and it was only 125 quid.
Wow.
So I got the train up to London, and I thought, I'm going to check this out. And I met the guy and I bought it off him, and he said, oh, it used to belong to a guitarist in a noise band called Action Beat. And Action Beat are awesome. They're a really good noise band in the UK. You should check them out.
All right, cool.
And then, but I wanted to know a bit more about this guitar, because it was just fascinating. The neck wasn't like a nice electrical guitar company shiny neck. It looked rough. But it was super cool. And I contacted the guitarist from Action Beat, and I asked him about it, and he said, "Oh, you're the Zero Fret guy."
Very cool.
It was such a surreal feeling. He said he'd watched one of my videos on the H&H amps, and he said, "Oh, I bought one because of your video." So it's just so wild. What a small world, you know. So strange.
Well, if electrical guitar companies listen, I think they ought to send you another neck as a thank you for all these videos you put out, man.
Oh, I wouldn't expect that.
I'm halfway kidding, but for real, like you were, I think yours was the first really informative video where you just talked about the guitar and the neck and the process of ordering it. So everybody keeps asking about these guitars, and like I said, I I kind of ended up getting a project one together based off of what you had to say about it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are very curious to know if they sound different, if they hold a tuning well, or like if they sustain longer. Like we hear all these like things from people. So I just want to know what you have to say about that, Carrie, because you've owned quite a few different necks.
Well, I noticed with the aluminium necks that they definitely give a brighter tone, and I actually think it's far more noticeable on the basses than it is on the guitars. The people describe it as like a chorusy shimmer, like a piano type quality, and it is. They definitely sound brighter. The aluminium body and neck, it definitely changes the tone, but it makes it a heck of a lot heavier, as you can imagine, because those 260s are heavy, right?
Yeah, I mean, what is yours? Did you ever weigh yours when you had it all put together? With
I didn't weigh it. No, but I've got a Travis Bean that weighs something like 11 pounds or something. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It is.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're back breaking, but they're worth it. The heaviest one I've got is 14 pounds.
Wow.
And that is It's almost unplayable, but it's. It's not like I'm touring. If I was in a touring band, I definitely wouldn't be taking that out on the road with me.
Yeah,
but,
I gotcha.
It is super nice. It's I ended up using my EGC bass neck and a Perspex body that I managed to get hold of. And I routed that out myself just to make it fit, and it just sounds amazing, and it intonates really well. And sorry, you were asking about the tuning and stuff. I've never really had too much of a problem with the tuning, because obviously the neck will sort of, because it's aluminium, it will change with temperature. The string length will change and stuff. But in England, we don't really get the dramatic temperature changes that you do in the States. So I don't know whether it's different from like here. But I never really had that problem.
To me, it's just such a fascinating concept that, there's so many things about these guitars and the necks. Like, they don't have truss rods. They barely have any neck relief. So it just seems so foreign compared to a normal, traditional wooden guitar. But
I know, it is. I know people, I remember talking about them in forums, and people are going, but how do you adjust the relief on the neck?
You don't.
Like, you don't. That's just how it is. It's like, it is. It's like a funny thing. It's funny getting used to it, but that's the price you pay for the tone you want. And I swear to God that people go on about these tone woods and how much of an effect the body has on tone, and I'm sure it does. But when you think about it, the tone is coming from your fingers, which is on the neck.
Yeah.
So it has such an impact on the tone. I don't know about you, but I like mine to be really, really gritty and clangy and noisy. So I tend to set my action quite low because I like a bit of string buzz in there.
I keep hearing that get talked about lately, that some people like a little bit of the string buzz when they're kind of cranked up with some gain and playing some like heavy music.
Yeah, especially on the bass. It makes it sound very, very gnarly.
Good point.
But yeah, there is no right or wrong, is there? It's just preference,
100% agree with that. And I think a lot of people, given what we're both into and like chasing tone and pedals and fancy shiny guitar necks and everything, I think the thing that I always hear the most at the end of the day is when I sit down and practice for a good hour,
Mm. Oh, sure.
But aside from that, the aluminum neck guitars are just something else, and a bit expensive. But after I got mine, I felt happy with my purchase.
They are, but I definitely think it's worth it. No regrets at all. I've obviously spent thousands on them, and no regrets whatsoever. I've only got one wooden neck instrument, I think, at the moment, which is the Squire Baritone.
Good guitar. Good guitar.
Yeah. Have you played one? Yeah,
I sure have. Yeah.
Yeah, they're killer. I really, really like that.
Amazing instrument for the price, especially.
Yeah, definitely. And I travelled far to go and pick mine up. And it's actually, having gushed about all these aluminium neck instruments, it's pretty much the only one I play at the moment.
I've definitely noticed that whenever guys or gals get an aluminum neck guitar, it's pretty quick that you see all the wooden neck guitars get put away, and then they're like fanatical about the necks.
Yeah.
So I put out a post on Instagram earlier, just kind of trying to get some questions for people because I want to ask questions that are relevant to your audience. And a lot of people were wanting to know, like the New Year's just around the corner, they're wanting to know what to expect from the Zero Fret, what kind of pedals you got coming out next year, how many of these Serpent pedals you are planning on making next year because there's so much interest in it. And we're all just kind of curious to know what's happening next with you and what your plans are.
Interesting. Good question. Well, like I say, I've got Stuart Tate has designed the PCB for me for the Serpent. So hopefully I'll I don't know. I mean, I don't want to make that forever because it is what it is. But it's I'd like to be able to focus on my own, a more original circuit, as original as fuzz circuits can be. Yeah. So there's nothing set in stone at the moment. I just want to make some good pedals and get better at it because I'm still learning. Yeah. I mean, I've got loads of ideas in my head. It's just getting the time to sit down and breadboard them.
I gotcha. Yeah. So
I'm sure it's the same for you. You end up building so many pedals that you're like, when the fuck do I find the time to to make a new one?
That's something people ask me about a lot. Is like, how do you get into building pedals, or how do you do this? I'm like, well, build a kit or build one. They're like, I did. And it's like, well, now build 100 more because that's what all of us pedal dudes are doing. Exactly.
You just kind of fall in love with it, and it does start with the kit. It started with kits for you, right?
Yeah. So
did it?
It sure did. So I'll tell you about the first kit I did, but I'm curious to know what was the first guitar pedal that you ever built, and how long ago was that?
The first one I built was it was a harmonic percolator.
Very cool.
And I bought that from Fuzzdog in the UK.
You're in love with Albini, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm an Albini fanboy. Yeah, always. I bought a Fuzzdog clone, and I managed to somehow fry the diodes or something. I don't know. I couldn't get it to work. I literally started with no experience, like most people do.
Yeah.
Don't know the first thing about electronics. But this is how I've always learnt things, by just jumping in the deep end and just doing them, And Lee from Fuzzdog was kind enough to send me some replacement parts after I messed them up, and I eventually got it working. And I tell you, that feeling of getting really frustrated and angry that you can't get it working, and then actually figuring it out, is such a rewarding feeling.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where now, if I make a pedal and it works first time, I'm almost annoyed because I like the kind of going around it, probing it with my multimeter and being able to solve a problem,
That's really cool.
But yeah, so after that, I took a step back because that's kind of, it's not like the most difficult pedal to build in the world, but it's not as simple as something like a Baz Fuss or I think the next one I built was the MXR micro amp.
Very cool.
Which was a little, because there's only a few components, and it was a little bit easier to build, and that kind of rebuilt up my confidence. And yeah, and then just from then on, just nerded out about the subject and learnt more about it. And I'm still learning. I'm far off where you are. You took a degree in it, right?
Yeah, actually,
electrical engineering, was it?
Yeah, that's what I ended up doing. My first my first pedal kit was a Baz Fuss, just like you, one of the pedals you had mentioned, and just like you mentioned, I put a diode in backwards and fried it.
Yeah.
And the guy from Small Bear was it Small Bear? I can't remember if I got it from Small Bear or someone else, but I just emailed them, and they were kind enough to send me a couple replacement parts. So
that's super cool.
I think that's something that maybe a lot of folks getting into this stuff take for granted is like, this is something I heard Oliver from Death by Audio Effects talk about is like kind of the difference between the guys and gals that end up getting into this heavily is like, we just don't take failure as an answer.
Yeah, definitely.
You fail, you try again. I mean, I remember building a pedal once when I was first trying to get into it where I built the pedal 4 times in a row before I got it right.
Yeah, I mean, it drives you crazy, doesn't it? But it's, you learn something every time. You don't learn something by getting the pedal right.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Yeah, so I fell in love with it. Then I ended up going to school for electrical engineering, which kind of just equated to like I had to take about 6 math classes to every one electronics class I really wanted to take or something. So it was kind of brutal.
Yeah.
So speaking of about how, I mean, we both got into it by building, like, just falling in love with music and building, like, then all of a sudden wanting to mess with pedals and stuff. What would you say to someone today that is wanting to get into it but doesn't really know where to start?
Well, exactly that. I would look into where you can buy kits from in your part of the world. In England, there's a couple of places. There's Jed's Peds. There's Fuzz Dog's Pedal Parts. You just Google these names, you'll find it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think you'll very quickly know whether it's for you or not. Because if you're the sort of person that just gets defeated easily, it's probably not for you.
Yeah.
But if you're the sort of person that likes nerding out about a subject and solving problems, then it'll be for you.
I'm always happy that, like, through the internet and stuff we got going on today, there's just nothing but information available to all of us. Like,
exactly, yeah, that's yeah.
I mean, we could just about learn how to do anything we wanted to do just by. I think people forget sometimes that we have this thing called the internet.
Yeah.
And you can use Google for things other than like awesome cat videos and stuff.
Well,
I mean, those are good
that's
too.
It, yeah. I mean, those are awesome. You can lose whole days to those videos.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, literally everything I know about it is just done through Googling, just finding things out for yourself, or from learning from other people's mistakes.
Totally. So I've noticed lately that you're posting a lot to Instagram. You said the YouTube slowed down a little bit, but I can definitely, I'm on there every day, so I definitely notice when people are starting to like really put out a lot of content, getting a lot of interaction with people online across the world. So I was wondering if you give me some of your thoughts on like the idea of spreading your message on social media, or like what that means, or like maybe some of the positive things that you like about interacting with people all over the world via Instagram, for example.
Well, I'll tell you what's great about it. In my area where I'm from, there's no one is interested into anything. I think I know one other person from this area that likes shellac, So I've kind of grown up through my life compromising a little bit on the music I've played in bands and stuff, because there's just no one here that likes what I like. I like heavy, noisy, dirty music, and most people don't like that. But this is the great thing about the internet, just bringing people together. You can meet like-minded people, and yeah, it's just fantastic. And that's I tend to use Instagram mostly because it's visual and it's, I don't know, I know the way it works inside out.
Right.
I'm pretty terrible on the other social medias, actually, like Facebook and Twitter. I don't really use. Do you use them?
I'm on Facebook, not on Twitter yet, but I'm trying to change that this year. But YouTube and a few other things. But yeah, it's tough to keep track of everything.
There's something about Instagram, I think, that's very special when it comes to this sort of thing. Just the communities that you can build around your profiles. Very interactive. And you can form genuinely meaningful relationships via it,
I agree. there's been a lot of talk lately about, like, a lot of people think that social media has kind of had a negative impact on people or like change people. And
Yeah.
sometimes I kind of feel like it hasn't changed anyone. I think it's just exposed people for who they really are, kind of thing. So some people are negative, but I can tell with your page and quite a few other people that I'm following right now that it's like, it can be this really positive place where it's like not only like encouraging for other people, but like people are interacting with each other in your post and like talking to each other about different kinds of music and stuff. And I just really appreciate it.
Well, that's definitely it. Yeah. No, I definitely get a big buzz off it, and encouraging people to, do this sort of thing, and just help out where I can with information and whatever.
Well, you've definitely been doing that, especially, I mean, starting from a couple years back with these like really informative guitar videos, and then now, I mean.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I'm so glad that inspired you. See, that makes it all worth it, And you've been inspiring me too, man. I mean, you like I said to you earlier, the last episode of this podcast with you and Steve Reese, where you talked about just doing it, just getting in front of the camera, and just braving it and doing it. I found that so inspirational, because you can probably tell in some of those old videos that I made that I'm super nervous, and it's just me in my living room. There's nothing to be nervous about. It doesn't matter. If you fuck it up, you can do it again. And
right.
Yeah.
But still, we get this thing in our head that makes us nervous for some reason.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. It's really strange. Yeah, you just got to ignore the voice. You got to feel the fear and do it anyway, as they say.
Well, I'll tell you what. I appreciate that, even though maybe yourself, and just like me or Steve, for example, like sometimes we're a little nervous to get on camera, but I mean, myself, and I've talked to quite a few other people that have watched your videos and gained something really positive about it. So,
really? That's fantastic.
I mean, so thanks, man, for taking the time to make this stuff, especially like while admitting that it's not easy. So I'm hoping there's people listening that, whether they are doing art, music, want to do guitar pedals or pottery or whatever in between, that just like, there's not much holding us back anymore. We all have this like worldwide broadcast station in our pocket.
No, exactly. Yeah. I think if you just test the water, even just if you've got something like that you want to talk about, just do it. Just get up, do it. Film yourself. Everyone's got a mobile phone with a camera. You just film yourself, do it. If it's crap, delete it. If it's not,
there you go.
Put it out there.
Yeah.
Even if it's crap, put it out there. Who cares?
I agree. Sometimes I think it's like the intent of what you're doing is more important than what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, as I said to you before, I was someone who had to compromise on the music that I've played through the years. And part of that was because I wanted to make it as a musician, and I didn't know how else to do that other than play music that I didn't love so much. And that's kind of sad. I think that's sad that I had to do that. But, I got to do some pretty cool things in music, and I don't regret that. But I often wonder how far I could have gone if I'd just gone, no, fuck this. I'm gonna focus on a brutal death metal band that I just love. And if you're passionate about something, you can't help but be good at it.
I agree. And I think that is one thing that's really standing out about what you've been doing lately, is like, you like what you're doing, you're passionate about it. It seems like you had this idea for this pedal because you're already making some similar stuff, and you're like, and of course there's like the big buzz with the Life pedal. They're selling for a lot more than people are purchasing them for online.
Yeah.
But what stood out was that like, you loved what you're doing. You're making this handmade stuff. You're etching these circuit boards, and there's like a lot of time, effort, and love going into it. So that stands out, man.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad you said that, because it I was a little bit self-conscious when they started selling these pedals, that people were just going to go, well, he's just ripping off the Life pedal. I'm openly admitting that that's basically what it is. It's a similar thing, and
But then at the
I'm
same
not trying
time,
to
the life
tread-
pedal isn't original either, right? I mean, it's a...
No, exactly.
There you
Neither
go.
of us are reinventing the wheel there. And I wanted that to be the Zero Fret slogan. You know, the first few pedals that I made were just straight up rack clones. So I just wrote in the back of the pedal, not reinventing the wheel since 2018.
I dig it, man.
You know, it's yeah.
I sometimes...
Yeah, just got to be honest about it.
Yeah, and you know what? That's something that I've kind of made a big part of the whole Fuzzlord thing is like, I try to be very transparent and honest about what I'm doing. And like,
Yeah.
let's say I made like a rat clone or something, a tribute to it, but I added these extra things. And I'm just,
Yeah.
you know, these articles we read of like this new overdrive's coming out and it's transparent. You've never heard about it before. It's brand new. And I think, what a crock of shit that they're feeding me.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
That's true.
And sometimes I don't.
And also, I don't think you can market a pedal. I've heard this is something I've heard. What's his name? Adrian from Thorpe Effects say. He says he can't market a pedal that's brand new.
Yeah.
Like he can't say this isn't based on it. People want to hear this is based on a Range Master or a whatever, you know.
Exactly.
Because that will sell the pedal.
And sometimes I think that
funny.
like we get lost trying to reinvent the wheel when really all we're trying to do is improve the wheel that's already out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just put your your little flavor on it.
Yeah. And I mean, like you look at like literally look at the tire industry, right? I mean, no one's reinventing the wheel, but everybody has like a new little thing they're throwing out every year.
Exactly. That's true. Yeah.
So sometimes I think people get too wrapped up, and I saw this in school a lot, especially in like computer coding classes, where there'd always be like the one whiz kid that would never do it the way anyone else did because they were stubborn.
Yeah.
And they would show up with 800 lines of code on an assignment when the rest of us did it in 150.
Oh my god.
And it's like, what are you
Did
trying
you get into that? Did you get into coding? Cause
Yeah.
a lot of the pedals use that these days, don't they? The what is it? DSP or?
I think we talk about that FV1 chip.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about, to be honest. I won't pretend to know.
I steer away from it, honestly. I'm trying to get more into it
enough.
myself. But you know what? I just kind of feel like the reason, maybe like you, the reason I got into it was because I was in love with these certain bands that had a certain sound, or like there's these legendary pedals like the harmonic percolator, like you've messed with, or like the life pedal. So it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I know where my lane is, and I like to stay in it sometimes. But I definitely want to get more into that. But
I think that's fine. Yeah.
But obviously, it's just so cool to see that there is plenty of room for anyone and everyone that wants to get into the music industry in some shape or form.
Definitely. And I think are you, I mean, I take it you were in bands and stuff growing up?
Yeah, definitely. A bunch of really crappy
Yeah,
punk bands.
you're still in a band, right?
Kind of.
Oh, hold on. You were in punk bands?
Yeah, I grew up, I think I started playing in my first punk band when I was like 13, 14, and then my dad...
Yeah, I think... Go on, sorry.
My dad used to let me borrow his bass amp, which was a TS-50 Trainer, just like you have.
Oh, no way. Awesome.
Yeah, so he used it in his band, and then he would take me and my, shithead little punk friends to the clubs, and we'd just play horrible music.
Oh, brilliant.
How old were you when you started getting into bands?
Well, about the same age. I was in a punk band when I was younger called Manic Hedgehog. Just the worst named bands in the world, honestly. Terrible. What was your first band called?
I think it's called the Nowhere Boys, and that's pretty much where we went, was nowhere.
It summed it up nicely.
It summed it up.
That's a pretty cool name. I like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me cringe, so it's good. That's cool. I started in kind of punk too, like ska punk, skate punk, that kind of thing. That whole kind of music makes me cringe a little bit now, but
hey, some of the bands are still good. Like I can still listen to some. Oh, the Addicts, the punk band, the Addicts just came through the town I live in Oregon, Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah.
And I just saw them for the first time like 3 weeks ago, man. It was the coolest thing ever.
Brilliant. Because they're like a 70s punk band, right?
Yeah.
Weren't they?
Oh, my God.
They're really old school. I mean, I don't know. I'm still very much into punk, but more the old school stuff like No Means No. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they have that really brutal bass sound. I'm sure they use a trainer. It must be a trainer or a Gallon Kruger or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just sounds really clangy and brutal. I love it.
I never believed the whole aluminum neck and deal, but I think it was last year Shellac came through town, and I didn't know that they were playing those, and I walked into the place, and I saw those Travis Beans staring at me.
Yeah.
And I was kind of waiting I was kind of cynical about it, of like, okay, here's these like magical guitars. And then they started playing, and I shut up, and I was like, I wish I could get one. The tone was amazing.
Shit, yeah. Yeah. I know, they're just unreal. And just because Albini says they're good, okay?
That's just some good music and a cool band.
Yeah.
So, Carrie, for folks that are wanting to keep up with you, where should they go to check out your pedals, order these pedals, learn more about you, or check out some of these cool guitars and amps that we've been talking about today?
Well, at the moment, it's all happening over on the Instagram, which is at the Zero Fret. And I do intend to make some more videos and stick them up on the YouTube. But you know what, actually this is another reason why I haven't been making those videos, because my account got hacked that's associated with that YouTube account.
Did it really?
And I can't log into it anymore, so I'm going to have to make a new YouTube channel as well, but I will keep everyone updated on the Instagram. That's where everything's happening at the Zero Fret.
Tell you what, when you get that new account made, you let me know. We'll get it posted to this podcast episode, and then
brilliant.
And then I can also make a post on the Fuzzlord Instagram page too to send.
Oh man, I really appreciate that. That's so sweet of you. What a guy.
Hey, thanks, man. Again, folks are going to be keeping their eyes out for the Serpent pedal that you just had the new PCB. Well, that's getting designed and produced right now. Yeah, just keep the eye out on the Instagram, because I don't know myself at the moment what's going to happen, when it's going to be. I intend to do a run over the Christmas holidays, but we'll see how it goes. I need some family time, really. So, indeed, I think
we'll just have to see.
That's an important thing too, the balance of all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Carrie, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with everybody and being so open with everything you're doing and like your background music.
Oh, and you, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, folks, you've been listening to the Fuzz Life Podcast. Again, I'm Jason Johnson with Fuzzlord Effects, and you can keep up with what Carrie is doing and the Zero Fret on his Instagram page at the Zero Fret. I'll leave a link in the description of this podcast. This podcast will be available on YouTube. That way we have somewhere to comment back and forth and talk about these aluminum necks and the pedals he's building. Again, do me a favor, check out Carrie's page, the Zero Fret, on Instagram. Check out his pedals and maybe tell him hello for me. Again, this is the Fuzz Life Podcast. You can check it out on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and I would really appreciate if you'd subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating, and share it with a friend. Again, I'm Jason Johnson, and I look forward to talking to you next week.